My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to episode number 19 of our current Transport Fever 2 series. So 19 episodes already, it's going by pretty quickly, but I think we're doing okay. I think we're at a decent pace as well. Not too fast, and hopefully not too slow. And for a small map, I think we're doing quite well there, because you could get it all done pretty quickly on a small map, of course. You only have a finite amount of towns and industries, and they're all reasonably close together compared to, say, a huge map, or heaven forbid, a megalomaniac map. So yeah, I'm pleased with our progress so far, and I think we're doing okay, and we've developed a nice little system here. As you can see at the minute, we're just having a quick peek at Barton in the Beans, primarily the passenger station here. We're not going to do anything with Barton today, just a bit of a scenic place to begin things. Nice view over the town, and you've got the freight line over there in the distance, in the background, and we have seen one of the planks trains heading up to George Stephenson's station just a moment ago. If you managed to catch that, I did see it, but I didn't draw attention to it at the time, so bonus points there if you spotted that. Before we get into today's episode proper, I just want to take a moment to say a massive thank you to Alex or Kylie Brooks, who have pledged on Patreon. That is absolutely 100% just, yeah, it's fun. I can't enunciate, or I can't put it into words how absolutely fantastic that is. Absolute legend. Thank you very much indeed for that show of support there. It's greatly appreciated, and if you stay tuned for this episode, there will be a little surprise for you as a way of a thanks, if you will. So thank you very much for that. That's, like I said, it's unbelievable, it's unreal. I can't put it into words. So yes, let's just stop trying, shall we? I'm sure you get the level of the appreciation I'm trying to express. Anyway, let's bring up the UI then, shall we? Where are we today? That's not how you bring up the UI, that's the wrong keystrokes. There we go. So how are we doing? 18 million, 19 million, not too bad. Can't buy much with that due to the increased costs that we have running on this series. We are in 1935. The date is progressing, May the 20th, as the passenger line to Herne Bay just rolls into town there to hopefully ship some of these hundreds of people into Herne Bay for us and make us a little bit of money. If it does, that's great. If it doesn't, not a problem. Okay, on to today's episode then. So what I want to do is finish off what we started up here. Now, in the last episode, some of you may have picked up on this. I picked up on it in the cab ride. We never set up a delivery line to get the steel that we set up into the machinery factory. As you can see, I have now done that off camera, so there is now a way for the steel to get from the station to the machinery factory, which is then obviously consumed and turned into the machines, which are brought back up here sooner rather than later to be shipped onwards into our network. Who's this boy here? Okay, that's the steel train just rolling into the station there to unload a fresh load of steel. As we can see, the planks train has just dropped off, and as you know, we did see it in the introduction, so that's just been and gone. The steel train is now arriving as well. Because of these cargo warehouses, we are not overfilling these platforms, so we're not wasting any of the materials, which is always a good place to be in. And they are being shipped off down here. Now, we're not producing any machines at the moment because there's no way for the machines to get to where they need to go. And that's what we're going to be doing today, of course. We're going to be getting these machines that these are producing and shipping them onwards into the network. Now, the question is, where do we want to take them? Herne Bay is a primary consumer of machinery, and by that I mean it's one of the default starting commodities that Herne Bay requires. So, in my experience, Herne Bay will likely have the higher demand for machines out of all of our towns. Axbridge and Epping are both secondary consumers, and the town of Long Eaton, well, what should we call that? It's not tertiary, but yeah, it's one of the last consumers. It's going to be very low down, 28 units. Herne Bay, what are you looking for? 97. I imagine Axbridge and Epping will be somewhere in the middle, 51 and 34. 4. So if we want to get most bang for a buck, we want to take it somewhere where they need quite a lot of it. Now, obviously, that is Herne Bay. What we are going to do with Herne Bay is just deliver it overland. There's no sense in running a train line from there to there. It just would not be very cost effective, or it wouldn't, well, it probably would be cost effective to be fair, but it wouldn't make the most sense. So instead what we're going to do, we're going to set up a nice trucking line into Herne Bay. They're going to start consuming the first loads of machinery that we're producing, but we also will try and set up a rail line as well. And the easiest one for us to do at the moment is Epping, because we are already on the east coast, stop myself there, on the eastern freight line, so we can get them straight in there with no extra work. Although we'd probably want to just expand this station size just so we've got a nice spare platform and we don't start clogging everything up in here. So I think that's the plan. Depending on timing, I would like to make a start on the village down here. In fact, I will make a start on the village down here. If that means we have to forego the rail line up to Epping, then so be it. So first of all then, let's get cracking. Let's get this delivery line over to Herne Bay up and running. So at the moment, 2 of the 3 platforms are spoken for, and this 3rd platform ideally is that's going to be the one that picks up machines and eventually takes them to the station interchange. So what we're going to do, rather than use a spare platform here, we're just going to build a brand new truck station by the machinery factory. And this one, it only needs to be a single platform. The only place we're going from this station is over to Herne Bay. So let's put that nice and central, or as central as we can, sort of like that. That should be absolutely fine. Let's get the second access point set up. Do we want to call it Herne Bay Annex? Probably not. Let's call it the Herne Bay Machinery Factory Depot. It's not a depot, of course, in the sense of as a vehicle depot. It's like a cargo depot. Anyway, moving on, let's now connect this into our road network, otherwise it's not doing anything other than costing us money and looking pretty. So that's that. I don't think we're going to need to have any sort of cargo warehouse for this one. It shouldn't really fill up that quickly, especially if we give it a decent amount of vehicles running over to Herne Bay. But what we are going to do, as always, is just where the train has been made all lumpy bumpy, we'll just smooth it off. There we go. Okay then, so that's where we're going to pick up. We'll just run down this road here, and for now we'll plan to come this way. We'll have a look at that if we need to change it in a few moments, because if we do come this way, we will be coming through the residential area right here and contributing to the noise pollution. In terms of the unload point here, we can see they're all congregated over by the passenger station, which is absolutely fine. It is what it is. It makes no odds really. So I'm thinking, let's just check our lines here. Yet we don't have anything running down here at the moment. So we are going to put down the unload point for Herne Bay just there, like so. And then let's just have a look at the land use layer, and let's just figure out if we can get the trucks in and out of Herne Bay without passing through the residential sector. So not really, not as it stands, and we're going to be hard pressed to fit in a bridge over here, which is, although in fact we could delete this road here and tunnel underneath, because the land drops away nicely, so it does lend itself to a tunnel underneath the rail line, and then have a bridge over the river connecting in. Yes, I think we'll do that. Let's delete that road then. So we are going to come somewhat close to the residential area, but we're not going to be passing straight through the middle as we would have been previously. So let's get a country road connection keep it straight, and rather than following the contour lines naturally, we want you to stay level, or perhaps even just drop off just a little bit. Maybe if we get you down to 20 meters. It's going to be a steep drop into the earth there, but it's going to be more than enough to provide the tunnel underneath the rail line. As we can see, there we go, a nice tunnel. We can probably stay straight. Oh, not quite, although perhaps if we drag it all the way through and give the road a little arch like that, make it, is that, no, not make it that, oh my life. Let's go back to where we were, and there we go. In fact, we don't need to make it, I was going to say, is it convex or concave? I can never remember, but yes, we don't need to do that. As we can see, just dragging it that little bit further onwards has created the tunnel we need nicely. And if we pull it even further forward, what we should find then is we have plenty of room for extra passenger lines down here should we need them in the future. So that's what we're doing there, just making sure we've got the space. Like, if, for example, if we had it there, we're a bit limited on this side as to how many future lines we could fit in. So let's just do something like that. 10 meters is fine. Yeah, okay. How does that look without all the transparent overlays? It looks absolutely fine. No problem with that. Nice tunnel on the way into Herne Bay. Okay, so now we can span over the river. And we'll have a nice curved bridge. Curved bridges always look quite nice to me. And we want to arch it a little bit. If we can get the arch somewhat central. Does that look about even? I think it does. Then yes, I'm happy to arch the bridge. What bridges do we have available? Obviously we've got all the mod bridges, as we can see, a whole host of them. What speed are they? 140. Ooh. What about a nice... Oh, no, not at all. What speed are these ones here? That's interesting. We've created a dam. Yeah, that's okay. I like that. A nice stone arch bridge. We don't have to worry about if the river is open to shipping, because we're not going to be running anything down here anyway. And if we opt to do that just for scenery a little bit later on, then we can just remodel this bridge to create the clearance that we're looking for. So that will do. And then shall we have this come up into this way like this, and have a bit of a large junction here, multiple intersection junction right there. Yeah, looks a little bit like one of those, what do they call them? You know, the things they have outside car showrooms, the inflatable things with the wibbly wobbly arms. You know, the Futurama thing, it was quite big on there, wasn't it? Anyway, yeah, it looks like one of them, if you're looking at it through closed eyes, I suppose. Yeah. Right, so now we can set up the line. Let's just move swiftly on from that, shall we? So we're coming from the machinery depot over to here. And what route are you taking there? I'd rather you didn't pass through the station, if I'm perfectly honest. And we also want to have a slightly darker colour, just so we can see it at a, we can clearly see it from a distance when we're inspecting our lines. So we'll set it up, and then I am going to just ever so slightly tweak the route that it's taken and bring it across the front of the station here, I think. So there we go. We'll give it a name while we're here as well. And this will be machinery. Spell it correctly, of course. We'll just call it machinery into Herne Bay. I had to think there where we were. Machinery into Herne Bay. Very good. Okay, now we want a waypoint here, just so we can make sure the truck comes this way through. So, waypoints, what do we want to use? Ooh, a telephone box. Add a bit of scenery to the station, that'd be quite nice. There we go. And that's the... No, that's not the wrong side of the road at all. I got confused as to whether I was playing Transport Fever 2 or driving in reality. Yes, there we go. What? What are you doing? Ah, I've put it in the wrong place, that's why. There we go. That's the one, that's the ticket. Lovely, nice and neat and tidy. What about up here? Do we want to just navigate you out this way, do we think? Just to, again, keep it tidy? I think we do. So once again, we're going to need another waypoint here. And what do we want to use? Let's just do something. No, we don't want you to levitate. Why are they levitating? That's bizarre. Let's do that. Let's have wild deer. Because what we can do is after waypoint, no, in fact after the machinery factory depot, we can do that, and then you're going to come out and swing around. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's all fine. Now we can buy ourselves some vehicles for this. So we want cargo vehicles. It's going to be the Opel brands, and we're going to be using the tarpaulin trucks because neither the dump nor tank trucks contain machinery. And should we say 8 to start with and see how we get on? We can tweak as we progress. Sure. Where are you? Herne Bay. Yeah, machinery to Herne Bay. That's the one we're looking for. Perfect. And there we go. So now we're going to start seeing our first loads of machines being produced and dropped off onto the factory depot cargo area just here. Hopefully in the not too distant future. And then they will pick them up, ship them over here, and then Herne Bay will start to grow, which of course is going to boost the passenger generation in Herne Bay, which in turn is going to just completely swamp Barton in the Beans, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. As I said, this place is too far gone to bring it back to some sense of normality, so we'll just leave that as it is. Okay, so yes, I don't think we're going to bother with the train line up into Epping in today's episode, just because of the amount of money that a train costs us. Instead, I'd like to do another little, make a start on a building episode or building a village. I want to make a start building a new village down here, and there's a very special reason for that. So first of all, let's put down our station. So buildings, we want the UK generic passenger station. Did we have red trim on our local station? Let's just have a look over here. Yes, we did. We want the small building size. Tracks, we'll stick with one. We can always increase platform length. Let's drop that down a little bit. 120, yep. Canopy length, we'll leave that. Catenary, no. Although we may have to electrify this a little bit later, but it won't be today, so we don't have to worry about that. And the track speed will remain as standard. So if we drop you in there, and now this is the reason why I wanted to start this today. I feel this is owed. So here we go. Lower Herne Bay. No, it's not going to be Lower Herne Bay. That's a rubbish name for a village. This is a better name for a village. Now, I thought long and hard between two candidates for this, both in a similar style. However, one is more an American style, and one is more UK themed. And given that this series is a UK themed series, I'm going to opt for that one, because I think having the US style town name here would be a little bit, it to just stick out a little bit too much, I think. So here we go. This is the town of Brookston. Wonderful. So that's obviously named in honour of the first Patreon, Kylie or Alex Brooks. So there you go. We're going to be building the village Brookston in your honour. So thank you very much, and I hope you appreciate the gesture as much as I appreciate your gesture that you made by pledging on Patreon there. So next thing we want to do then is smooth some of this out. So let's just do that. So we get a nice flat area just around our station here. Well, I say flat, but at least smooth. And then what we want is we need a street in front of the station. Now do we want to stick to country streets or switch to urban streets? Now the urban streets, if we go up here where we can see two side by side, they almost look a little bit too cityified or townified. They don't really have that small village aesthetic to them, and those ones are just look like an airport taxiway, so we won't be using that. The one-way streets, obviously, there we're very limited, and we'd have to do all sorts of shenanigans there with that one. Highways, of course, no. What about No, again, that looks like a farm track. We don't want that. So I think we're just going to build our village around these medium speed country roads. Logically, if you're doing it pure logic, it doesn't make sense, but from an aesthetic point of view, I think it's the best choice for us here. So of course we want one in front of our station here at Brookston, so let's build us a nice connection there. Otherwise the people or the residents will have no way to get to the station. We'll connect it in there. Where do we want this road to go to? Well, in fact, let's have a little forward planning here. Where do we want our next village to be constructed? Maybe up here somewhere would be quite nice. In fact, let's just go a little bit further up this way. Yeah, if we had it somewhat close to this plastics factory, that would make a little bit of sense, because that'd be the main employer for the small village, and it explains why the village has sprung up here over time. And we also have some nice scenery with these small hills and trees in the background, so I think, yeah, we'll go up here. Now, we're not going to build the road from Brookston all the way over to that new village today, but we are at least going to set our stall out, if you will, and head in that direction, so we know what we're planning a little bit later on. Do we want to do that? No, that's going to look hideous, and we don't want to do that. We just want to do that. That's what we wanted to do. Perfect. And again, let's have a nice sweeping bridge over this river here, and let's arch it once again. And what do we want to use? Should we just use the default vanilla style stone bridge, something like that? Keep the bridge styles mixed up a little bit throughout the map. Yeah, we'll do that. Anyway, if we just drop you into that road there for now, that's absolutely fine. We're happy with that. Do a little bit smoothing just here where we come up to the bridge, and we'll just run it along the side of this road here, make sure we're all nice and level. Wonderful. Okay, so let's lay down the roads that will serve Brookston. So we've got that there. We can have some commercial buildings in this area, maybe a few residences as well, but primarily this will be the commercial centre for Brookston. Let's build both sides of the track, so let's get ourselves a bridge over the passenger line here, well, not like that, because that's not a bridge. No, maybe let's just take it up an extra notch. Yeah, let's just have that's fine, that works. I'm not sure what's happening there. Yeah, let's go bridge viaduct, that one. No, maybe a darker colour, it looks a bit too sandstone-y. What about that one? Let's see. Oh, that's yeah, we'll go with that. So we'll have a bridge over the passenger line here. Now we want to make sure that if and when we have extra lines coming down here, we have space to squeeze them in. Although I suppose they could narrow and funnel into the station and branch back out again. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem we have now is we are very high up compared to where we need to be in terms of actually where our roads are. So how are we going to get you to come down? Well, that's just ridiculous. We're not doing that. Let's angle it out a little bit more. That's going to be, yeah, let's do that. That's fine. Yeah, no. Oh, we can't do it anyway, of course. Too much slope, but there we go. In fact, let's do something. Let's do this. Let's just get rid of that road there, and let's take this road away a little bit. I don't know why the road builders would have built the road like this, but this is what they're doing. Obviously, they knew at some point we were going to have a bridge and a rail station down here. Ah, those Romans, always forward planning. And there we go, yes. And now we should be able to get this down and make it look a little bit more natural. And in fact, we've got a nice junction to connect it into there. Now let's just play them out with the convex concave options here, see if we can get it looking a little bit nicer. And I think we'll switch to earthwork. See, I didn't want to do that, but that bridge, the edges, they don't sit nicely at all. And, oh, that is hideous. Do you want to go earthworks? Let's decisions. Well, we can't be changing bridge type. It's going to have to be earthworks, isn't it? Well, that's fine. We can do a little something with that hopefully later on. And then what we want is maybe a road along the river's edge here. And this is obviously going to be the other side of the town of Brookston. And come down here. How does that look? Equally hideous. So earthworks it is. Yeah, we're going to have to do something about that, but that's okay. And this road can follow the river a little bit. Now, I'm going to rejoin this road up to here. Brookston isn't... Oh, no, I suppose that's not too bad of size for Brookston. And, yeah, it does mean this train line, it's going to have to have a level crossing. But you do get a lot of that in small villages, so that's not the end of the world. And what we'll do... no, we'll do that a little bit later when we continue our rail line. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have passenger buildings either side of the station of the rail line. So we'll have another building over here with a connection. You see that quite often in the small stations, so why the heck not? And we need to make sure we've got space here for... In fact, let's do it now. That way it's done, isn't it? We know where we are. We know where we stand. We can't build where we wanted to put our tracks accidentally. So no catenary. If you stay level, you do all sorts of wrong things to that road. So let's not do that. How does that look? In fact, do we want that? No, we don't. Let's just have it do that. Although it's going weird. The actual train line drops down quite sharply there. Look. And then it does the same again. Well, why don't we then come into the road so we know where the level crossing is going to be? Is that straight? It's straight enough, isn't it? And yeah, it's dropping away, but it's not too bad. It does flatten off here. It plateaus a little bit here, of course. What we could, in fact, change of plan. What we'll do instead, let's get the flatten tool, just reduce the brush size here, and if we flatten off an area that is level with the road, then hopefully we can work with the way the train line was starting to drop in there. Let's have a look. How does that look? If we, in fact, that looks better, doesn't it? So it's dropping off, and what's the gradient? 4%. Well, the maximum slope is 4%. Can we just fine-tune that a little bit? If we can get to 3.5 and still make it look reasonable, which that does. Looks reasonable enough. Yeah, I know I'm spending probably far too much time on that when it's largely irrelevant. But I do like it to look nice when you do a cab ride, and you don't want your train riding a roller coaster every time it comes to a level crossing. So just spend a little bit extra time there just to make sure it looks right. And then this will head off this way, of course. We don't know where it's... Well, we know where it's going to go, but we don't know how it's going to get there at this moment in time. That's fine. How's that? I think that's good enough. What bridge do we want to use here? What's that one look like? Maybe not that one. Oh yeah, I quite like that one. Yeah, so that's as far as we'll take that train line for now. And as I said, that's just so we know where we're headed and we can't accidentally block ourselves in when we're putting down our buildings in the town of Brookston. So yeah, there we go. Back to the smoothie tool here and just do a little bit of that just there. Perfect. And over here. And on this bit here as well. How does that look? Does that look natural? Not really. I don't think there's much else we're going to be able to do with it. No. Well. Yeah, it'll do. I've seen worse in reality, to be fair, so I can live with that. Yeah, so this area here then is largely going to be the village of Brookston, and we'll keep it a lot quieter than this. As I said, we've learnt a few lessons from that one there, so hopefully we can get this one right. So let's jump over to the assets. We're not going to finish this today, but we will at least make a start on it. So of course we need some buildings, don't we? So let's go over here And let's go find our residential buildings. And I think to keep that village aesthetic, let's see here, what does that look like? Do we want residential 1 or residential 2? I think these keep that village aesthetic a little bit more because they're stone, so they look old, like they've been there for a while. They're like an old Roman village almost. That's obviously built up over time, over the 1,000 years or so. So yes, we're going to use the old style buildings in Brookston. We primarily use them over here in Barton in the Beans as well, of course. So yeah, we know what we're doing, hopefully. And let's get a start. Let's go. So where do we want the residential area? So as I said, this here will be commercial. This here, when it connects to the other side of the station in the future, will also be commercial. So we want our residential a little bit further afield. So we'll put down a few residences along this road here. And we'll, if you've ever been through a UK town or village, this may look silly because it's all the same building repeated, but what they tend to do is they'll build a bank of houses at once, and they're all in a similar style. So having repeated houses, it makes a little bit of sense, even if it looks boring, if you will. And then we'll have a road that comes up here, and we'll have a little residential conservation sort of thing around the back of these houses. So we'll have another road going up there. Not sure where that's gonna go. I suppose that could connect up to there, so I'll connect into that one and have a second way in and out of the village. But this area here is just going to be a residential district with some nice curvy roads. And can you come in? That looks a little bit odd, doesn't it? We'll not do it like that. We'll do it like that instead. There we go. And we'll have a road that goes like, not like that because it's doing weird things to the terrain. Maybe like that, and one more like that should do, I think. So this area here is going to be all residential, and as I say, it's not going to be the full extent of the village. We're going to do it both sides of the track, but in terms of making a start, it should be absolutely fine. So then back to the assets. Let's get some more houses chucked down here. And we will start to mix them up a little bit now, I think. So we'll have like one of them there, and just switch through, selecting different sizes and styles, just to keep it varied and a little bit more interesting, if you will. Like that, and maybe one of them in here. Let's drop down to some of these smaller ones, and we'll put a couple of the same theme in here, like this. Maybe swap the style a little bit as we hop over the road here. Where's the front door? Where is it? There it is. And have some smaller style houses along here. Maybe one of those as well. Okay, yes, that's all fine. Just drop it up in size, jump it up in size a little bit here, and we'll put some of these along here. Again, just mixing up the styles a little bit, just so we have that variety. And obviously this flies completely against what I was saying earlier on about the buildings tending to be all the same, but never mind. And we'll just have a couple of these. Let's let's drop over to residential 2 and have some of these ones now. That's a bit too tall, I think. That one's fine. That one looks okay. So we'll have one of them there, and not that one. That's looks like a hotel. So we want to stick to no more than 2 by 2 for these residential 2 style buildings then. And yeah, have you there. One of you back to residential 1. Let's put you just there. Okay, so that's the sort of thing we're going to be aiming for here. Now I'm going to chuck in an occasional commercial building here using, is it Mad Hatter? Yeah, Mad Hatter's selection, and they're only going to be these small shops here because these have that old brick aesthetic, and you can get things like a post office, which would make a little bit of sense. You know, your little local post office nestled in there. What else do we have? A little news agents. So let's put a news agents on the corner. Capacity, let's keep these low. Let's keep it a capacity of 5. Assets, no. Lanes, yes. Terrain alignment, off. So we'll have a newsagents on this corner just here, like, and that's what else do we have? Maybe just one more if we can think of something that would fit in nicely. A chemist, perhaps. Yeah, let's go and put a chemist over on this corner here, and then the rest of this will just be houses. What I'm going to do is, even though I said I don't like the look of the roads, I'm just going to put a couple of these smaller roads here, just dissecting all of this like that, just to break it up a little bit so we don't have, or we're not left with these large open grassy areas at the back of our houses. So back to our houses then. So assets, where were we? It was this one here, and we were using residential 1, I believe. Yes, here we go. So let's put a couple of these down, and again, like we did in that other area just over the road there, we're going to mix and match style just a little bit, but while making sure they're all ye old English brick buildings, if you will. Well, then, in fact, let's go for a couple of those along this side street here. Maybe put one just there and one just there. Now some small ones in these little spaces we have left over. Where's the front door? There it is. So I'll put you there, and I know you could go into the minute detail here and make sure the front door steps are properly aligned with the ground level. However, for our purposes, from a distance, you're not going to really pick up on that too much, so I'm not going to bother doing that unless it's ridiculously obvious that it's, you know, 4 foot above the ground, or you need to have an excavation permit to open your front door. So yeah, for the most part, we'll keep them where they should be, if you know what I mean, and we'll not go into that sort of detail when it comes to dropping these. I mean, look, I mean that one there, yeah, that's just looks like we've had a landslide, so we would, if we were going to put that in there, we would just bring it up just a little bit, just to get it level with the ground. But these ones here, yeah, they're a little bit high, but they're not offensively so, if you follow what I'm saying. So there we go. Let's have some of these now over this side, and let's set them back just a little bit, shall we? Now, has that removed that rock? No, it's not, but again, you're not going to see it from a distance, so I'm not going to concern myself with it too much. Let's jump back over to residential 2, shall we, and go for a different style over this side. Maybe these were built a little bit later, more Georgian style housing over here, rather than, say, not medieval per se, but houses that were maybe chucked up in the 1600s. So we'll have a bank of these. Now these are meant to represent like a row of terraced houses, like a Victorian or Georgian terraced street. They're not actually terraced, of course. In fact, could we actually make some terraced houses? Let's see. If we use this one here, and if we... would it look okay? No, why not? Again, up close and personal, it probably looks a little bit odd, but if you're at a distance, you're hopefully not going to notice the seams here too much. That overhangs there, so we can't use that one. Let's have a random different style house right in the corner there. Okay, wonderful. Let's put some along this little street here now, and again, let's just have a row of the same style houses, and this just represents the building styles, of course, evolving as the years pass and as the village has grown and expanded. So there, like that, perfect. And if we just do this last episode, this last section here, and we'll think about ending the episode then for today, because I don't want it to run on too long. I will do some of this off camera as well, so you don't have to watch the whole construction process from start to end, but I'll try and find that nice blend, you know, between being bored watching somebody just chuck down assets for half an hour versus actually wanting to be involved in it and see that growth for yourself and feel like you're part of it, if you will. So let's just finish this little bit off here. Maybe we'll drop over to the commercial bit again. What do we have here? Let's put a double fronted shop look out of place. Well, what do we have? What would look good? Perhaps none of these really. A bank. Does that... No, that looks... It doesn't look too out of place, I shouldn't say. Again, we'll keep the capacity nice and low on all of these, just because we don't want a repeat of what we had. No, that doesn't look in place at all. No. A Tonian guy, yeah. And that's it. I will go back to the residential area. And yeah, as I was saying, just so we don't have the repeat of what we had in Barton, where we have 5,000 people wanting to visit a small village every day, which doesn't make sense, does it? And if we do that, and let's go and do something like a small, if we can squeeze it in, a small road round the back here, almost like an access road for traders to drop off to these shops that we constructed, like that. And then can we squeeze in just one final small residence on this corner? We certainly can. There we go, like that. Alright, so that's enough for today, I think. As I said, I'll do some off camera as well. But, you know, things such as setting up the rail link down here, that will obviously be done on camera. But just doing some of the asset work, I'll do a little bit between episodes, not too much, but just enough to make sure we're moving on at a decent pace. Before we do end, I do want to make sure we're delivering nicely into Herne Bay. Oh, very nicely, 68 out of 124. I believe at the start of the episode it was about 90 something they required. So we're already seeing a positive, beneficial impact from this delivery line. How are you doing for raw materials? You've got plenty of planks, 52 units of steel. You've just dropped off as well, so you've got even more planks waiting to come in. Where's the steel train? Let's have a look. Are you loading? Have we passed you? You must be in a tunnel. I think I just saw you there. There you are. How are you doing financially? Yeah, you're making a profit overall. So, yeah, no problem with that. Even if every other year it is recording a loss, overall the average is a profit, so that's happy enough. Alright, so as I said, yeah, that's where we're going to leave it for today. In the next episode, episode 20, we'll do a little bit more here. As I said, this will look different when we come back, so I'll add to it. We'll look at setting up the line into the village of Brookston, and I think what we'll do, we'll expand the two existing lines. So we'll have a line that runs Herne Bay, Barton, Brookston, Barton, Herne Bay, and then similarly line Long Eaton to Barton to Brookston, back to Barton, and then to Long Eaton. We'll also do the pleb magneteers together, and again we're going to be very conservative with it this time. We're not going to go over the top. We're just going to keep them fairly small in terms of their pulling power, so we don't attract 20,000 people down here. But we just want enough that we do at least have some uptake on our passenger service down here. So we need a vehicle for an outro, so let's have a think. Why haven't we had a ride on for a while? Because there's nothing new really that we could have a ride. And maybe a Flying Scotsman, if we can find one, would be quite nice. And that's one there. We've got one what's perhaps heading somewhere a little bit more scenic. Where's the other one? I tell you what we'll do is we'll allow this one to get into the town of Epping. And as we depart, I'll set us on the locomotive, and then we'll have a little cab ride down into... Do we want to go as far? Maybe as far as Herne Bay, but as a minimum, we will be going as far as Axbridge, so we can ride over the viaduct, which would be quite nice, I should think. So yes, just let's pause the date progression, so we have no unlocks. I'll increase the speed, and we'll get on board when we're about to leave the town of Epping. So I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, we're back. We are just unloading the passengers in Epping, picking up as many as we can fit onto our train for their onward journey. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, then obviously likes and comments and subscriptions are always extremely welcome, of course, and to all of you who do that, I thank you very much indeed. It really does help. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, all that remains for me to say is, as always, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.